What's up, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Lead From Here podcast. I'm Jason. Today we're talking about recovery from burnout. And you've already communicated, at this point, you've already communicated that you're burned out. You've talked to HR, you've worked with your boss, you figured out how you can kind of get some time away from work or some PTO or however it works out in your company. Now is the opportunity for you to say, okay, this is where we're at. We are in a position where we are home, we're not at work. How do we actually get through burnout? And this is something that is very, very individualized. So I'm going to do my best to give the high level things that work really well for me and for others that I know. But this is not a fast process. It's just not. It took me almost 4 months from my biggest burnout in my career to recover, and it was hard, and I was not employed during that time, so it was rough. I got a little bit of a severance package, but it was a bad spot. And I ended up getting a job right at the end of my severance run out, so it ended up working out fine, but it was a scary time, and that uncertainty adds to the pressure of a burnout. So understand that there will be frustration and uncertainty and pain and discomfort through all of this, but ultimately the first thing you need to do is totally disconnect. Shut your phone off. Do everything you can to avoid talking to people at work, thinking about work. Focus on your friends, your family, your kids, whatever, anything, your hobbies. Focus on anything but your job. You have to disconnect completely. Doesn't mean you have to go on a vacation somewhere else. If you can afford it, you can do it. Absolutely getting out of your normal space and just going somewhere and just being with yourself, being with a partner if they want to be along for it. Whatever you need to do to actually disconnect is what you need to do for you. Because if you can't get past this burnout, it can impact your current job if you still have it. It can impact your next job if you got laid off or you had to take a break and quit. All those things. There's realities that will impact both if you don't take care of it. So get rest. Absolutely get rest. Wherever you're at, rest. If you want a little bit of extra credit, journal what your feelings are, journal how you're thinking, where your mind's at, what's happening with you in your day-to-day. Take time to get away from your house, go for a walk, go for a hike, go play golf, go do a hobby, go whatever. Just get away from your house, get away from anything that revolves around your normal routine, because you have to break that normal routine. You have to get out of that normal routine. And it's easier to do when you're not at your house, obviously. So if you can afford to go somewhere else, get an Airbnb. It doesn't even have to go out of town. Find a cheap Airbnb in your city and just go somewhere and be alone. That, it feels counterintuitive because you're sitting in the muck and the mud. But that's ultimately what you have to do, is you have to sit with yourself and say, how did I get here? How did we end up in this spot? Journal it, understand it. Watch videos, listen to podcasts, do anything you can that does not directly relate to work. Read books, anything that puts new information in your brain. It can be around recovery from burnout, it can be around a hobby, it can be just total fiction, it can be anything. But anything to keep your mind off work. And if you start feeling yourself getting back into the thought process of work, maybe I need to start applying for a job. Maybe that's true. Maybe you need to do that. Set aside very specific times of the day to do that, and then do it, move on. That's what it is. It can't be this, I'm working a little bit on throughout the day and I'm thinking about it all day. No, it has to be I'm setting aside an hour to apply to 5 jobs today. That's my job today, is I have an hour. Outside of that, I don't think about work. If you still have your job, if you're lucky, if you have a company that supports you and you're able to do short-term disability or just take a sabbatical, or you're just taking a chunk of PTO, don't at all. Do not engage in work, do not think about work, you're done. Until you go back to work, you're done. Focus on you. This is your time to recover here. And here, that's it. I cannot stress enough that you cannot stay kind of connected and recover from burnout. Yeah, maybe sure after a year, but if you're trying to do it in weeks or months, you need to really disconnect and understand that it's going to be painful. You're going to have some frustrations. Maybe you're going to have some resentment. Maybe you're going to have some moments in your life where you're I made this decision and I did this to myself, and that's hard to deal with. So give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. Rest. Disconnect. read, listen, like take in new information. And ultimately, just be kind to yourself, because you will absolutely be frustrated. You absolutely will be hurt. You'll absolutely be grieving. There's a lot of pieces and emotional layers to this situation. So take the time to recover, or you will not recover. I promise. It does not work that way. Hope this was helpful. Please hit me up if you have questions or want some more guidance, or you're struggling with burnout. Hit me up, jason@leadfromhere.co. Any of the social media platforms as well. I appreciate you all. Take care. Just a quick extra tip for those of you that hung around to the end. There are situations where you're not going to be able to quit your job. You're not going to be able to get fired because you just need the money. But you are burned out. And applying these principles to off hours can help. It's going to take a long time to get through that burnout in this way, but it can help. So apply the rest and disconnecting and all those things that outside of your work hours. Make sure that you're doing that. If you can find a way to continue to work and work remotely someplace else, it doesn't have to be anywhere fancy, it doesn't have to be anywhere far away, but just someplace out of your normal routine place, do it. But I hope this was helpful. And extra little tip, understand that people have realities they have to deal with. I'm not unaware of that. But I'm just letting you know that it's going to be hard. It's going to be a long fought journey. So, good luck.